All sons are born in the shadow of their fathers.
But the day will always come
when they must stand alone.
and are faced with a choice. Do they follow the path put before them?
Or take a different road?
My father.
The future is mine to take.
Alright, so we got some Three Kingdoms content coming on March 19th in the form of A World Betrayed, a new campaign set in 194 that follows the aftermath of Dong Zhuo's murder, the rivalry that developed between Lur Bu, Cao Cao, and Liu Bei, and Swen Su's conquest of the south after his daddy got turned into a pincushion at Xianshan. Probably could have picked a better release date. Imagine a lot of people will be ripping and tearing on Doom Eternal, but I guess the overlap between historical strategy and defenestrating demons isn't something Creative Assembly is particularly worried about. We'll see if that pays off or not. Just like in Mandate of Heaven, this DLC blends into the main campaign in the form of a start date, and the events of this period can occur organically if you begin earlier, or you can jump right into 194 with Lur Bu and Swen Su as faction leaders. Now, this is a momentous era of the Romance period. The tyrant Dong Zhuo gets a dagger in the back from his son-in-law Lur Bu, the most iconic warrior of the setting, and after the fall of the capital Chang'an, he flees east and settles near Cao Cao's territory. They start out enemies, become allies for a bit, bro it up, and have a grand old time until Lur Bu gets bored and decides he wants more, which is a common theme in the Romance story. So after Cao Cao heads into Liu Bei's lands to avenge the death of his father, Lur Bu rebels against his liege lord for the umpteenth time, like the traitorous dog he is, and ultimately, we get the Battle of Yan Province and later, the Siege of Sha Pi, an event that's already in the game. And Cao Cao finally says, alright, you know what? You're probably too dangerous to be kept alive, and hangs him from a tree. Chops his head off for good measure. So, ever-shifting alliances, tactics, betrayal, murder, and Machiavellian politics that would make Game of Thrones blush. Nothing new there. During all of this, Swen Su is carving out a realm for himself in the south, securing Jiangdong and laying the foundations for the kingdom of Eastern Wu, a kingdom he would not live to see, because at the ripe old age of 25, he was assassinated by arrow to the face, just like his daddy. And that bad luck will be reflected in A World Betrayed in a pretty interesting manner. So what are we getting in this campaign pack? 2 new factions led by the warlord Lur Bu and the Little Conqueror of the Swen family. Bunch of new units, new faction mechanics, and a lot of new characters and provinces in the south added in the free update that will launch alongside. For the legendary warrior, fresh off his murder of the Big Donger, you begin your playthrough besieged by Cao Cao, and you have to fight your way out. And as you might expect, he's going to have a very militaristic playstyle and approach, focused on building and maintaining a full head of steam in your conquests and out-dueling the finest warriors of Three Kingdoms China. So momentum is generated by defeating enemy characters one after another, granting powerful actions and bonuses that continue to improve the faster the victories rack up. Honestly sounds a lot like a mechanic that would benefit Queek Headtaker, everyone's favorite forgotten little rat friend. And this all revolves around the Greatest Warrior panel, featuring legends like the God of War and the other big dig duelists of the setting. Kill these guys, and you get permanent bonuses faction-wide. And from a historical perspective, his unique events will focus on the conflict with Cao Cao, shifting alliances between the eventual founders of Wei and Shu Han, and getting betrayed by your own douchebag general. So loyalty, probably gonna be pretty hard to come by until you start taking heads, which shouldn't really be a problem, because you're Lur Bu. Like, that's kind of what he does. You're gonna have access to 2 more unique units, the Camp Crushers, 2-handed sword infantry unit, and the Flying Riders, armored shot cav, that should complement the legendary spear cav of Dongzhuo that are already in the game. As you guys probably know by this point, he's one of the best troop killers in all of China. Not the best duelist, but dude hits so damn hard that he can kill most other characters pretty easily anyway, and his unit focus is all about that mounted life, with red hair, leading the charge, and a plus 15% melee damage bonus for shot cav faction-wide, with 3% morale in enemy territory. He's got the hottest waifu, the fastest ride, and the biggest muscles in all the land, so life is good when you're Lur Bu. Do not pursue. I actually think that's 3 morale, plus 3 morale in enemy territory, not plus 3%. Now on the flip side, you've got Swen, the Little Conqueror. You begin your playthrough as a vassal of Yuan Shu, but as soon as he declares himself emperor, you can break ties with him, and I imagine most of us probably will. His expansion will be focused to the south and east, where the campaign map is getting a pretty needed overhaul, getting a lot more fleshed out, and will no longer be a void of nothingness, which is good news. It's got some pretty crazy faction mechanics to boot. So the first is called Legacy of Wu, a list of goals the man has set for himself and his fledgling empire down south, conquering specific commanderies, attracting high-level characters to his court, and bringing down righteous vengeance and furious anger upon those who killed his father. His other mechanic is called Reckless Luck, and this is where things get pretty bananas. He gets massive bonuses to his campaign movement range, allowing him to swallow up territory faster than pretty much any other leader in 3K, with unique minister positions and a unique court action to help him control things from a governmental perspective. But all these bonuses come at a cost. If you aren't able to complete your ambitions in a timely manner, your luck meter just runs out, and you die. Period. You lose your faction leader. Your faction will live on, but the Little Conqueror will be dead and buried. And I'm a little torn on this mechanic, honestly. On the one hand, sounds really unique and interesting, gives you some impetus to get that ass moving and play aggressively. On the other hand, if I want to play a Swen campaign, I want to play a Swen campaign, so having him die off early might just end up being frustrating rather than rewarding. So with anything else, this all is going to come down to balance, and I hope it's something CA can get right. A mechanic that is rewarding and challenging to control, but one that isn't super punishing or frustrating. Might be a hit, might be a miss, we'll find out soon enough, because I actually already have the DLC, and I can post gameplay for it very soon. He has a plus 100 charge bonus for all cav units faction-wide, which sounds quite a bit more powerful than his counterpart's cav buff, to be honest. And he's also getting that plus 15% melee damage buff for all shot cav, which I don't really get. Like, why do they have the same buff when it's a Lord pack with only 2 halfway new faction leaders? It's kind of weird. Feel like they probably could have differentiated them a little bit more on something that simple, but not a big deal, I guess. And in terms of unique units, he gets the Tiger Guard, Heavy Spear Infantry, Handmade Guard, Mercenary Archers, Mercenary Infantry, and Mercenary Cav. And I believe there might be a rework to the Mercenary system coming as well. Not 100% sure on that. As the start date is 194, the playable leaders will of course be different because some of them are taking a dirt nap at this point in history. Plenty of familiar faces, including the new free LC faction, will be on the campaign map though. So, we've got Yan Baihu, White Tiger Yan, fearsome bandit leader that prowls the hills of southeast China. He'll be the Little Conqueror's main rival. A leader who can summon the Shan Yur tribes to his command, bribe local Han officials, and build coalitions more effectively than most other factions in the game. He has a unique building, the Shan Yur encampment, which provides food, gives bonus research speed to certain bandit technologies, and grants access to new tribal units as well. And his White Tiger Confederation gives better and better bonuses the more factions ally with him, and that he can bring into the fold diplomatically. So, a pretty interesting blend of alliance building and conquest, with a new people, the Shan Yur tribes, to sprinkle in some additional flavor. I actually think he might end up being the highlight of this update for a lot of people. So, I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to get super hyped for this DLC. Like, the first thing I ever did on Three Kingdoms was literally kill Dongzhuo with Lur Bu and make him my faction leader. That was the first playthrough I ever did. And I would imagine a lot of you guys have probably already conquered the southeastern part of China with Swen and Swen as well. So from that standpoint, this isn't earth-shattering new content. But unlike Total War Warhammer, the vast majority of iconic faction leaders are already in the game. So fleshing out those characters further in a campaign pack makes a lot of sense. Might not be quite as new or fresh as starting as Malice Darkblade and the Dragon Isles, but I think this kind of DLC we're getting here with the World Betrayed needs to be done, and it's what people have been asking for, honestly. Building off the foundations of the Grand Campaign and granting us more characters and star positions for the factions that are already there. It's definitely an interesting part of history, an interesting era of the Three Kingdoms period. And alongside Mandate of Heaven, the thing that's impressed me most about this game is Creative Assembly's free updates, which continue to improve and iterate on that solid foundation that's already been built. I don't think 3K is the most fun Total War game by a country mile, but it does have one of the deepest campaigns in the series, maybe the deepest, and this update might be a good time to jump back in. Check back over the next few days, there should be plenty more content coming, and let me know, are you guys hyped for A World Betrayed? What looks good, what looks bad, and what are you excited to try? Thanks for watching, I've been your host, Indie Pride, and I'll see you all in the next video.